What's up guys, the S-McGann here, and if you watch my videos, you're probably aware that I'm very excited for this new god, Chulainn. When you first see the god, it may be kind of confusing because his mana bar is orange as well as it's only at 25. This is because dealing damage through his basic attacks or hitting his abilities, as well as if him or his teammates take damage, gains him mana. And if he stays above 85 mana for 3 seconds, well... yeah, it's pretty awesome. But although he looks super fun, and when you're in big form, he looks kind of mindless as well, it's really not the case. In fact, this god's probably one of the more complex gods to come out. And he can be a bit challenging, especially for newer players. But since I was super excited for this god to come out, once I played him once, I knew I had to play him over and over again. I played him quite a few times on the PTS. So I want to share a few things that I learned about him through playing him, as well as testing things out on jungle practice as well as in custom conquest. So one of the first things I noticed whenever I was playing this god is that my basic attacks felt really good. I mean, I was hitting things that I thought I shouldn't had, and in the big form, the visuals weren't even matching up with my basic attacks. So I checked him out in jungle practice, and his range is actually longer than the normal range on every single basic attack in both forms. I'm not quite sure if this was intentional or not, but it's actually extremely useful in boxing matches as well as chasing down opponents. When I was playing him in the solo lane, I was actually able to mess with opponents quite a bit with this, because I would get a basic attack off, and if they wanted to retaliate, they would have to gap close with an ability, or they would just try and basic attack me and be out of range. It's something that's actually very useful and should not be ignored, and can be extremely annoying to deal with. But I think he may have stolen this extra range on his basic attacks from his first ability, Barbed Spear. This ability is deceivingly short, as an untouched wave will actually barely hit the archers if you're standing right in front of the melees. In fact, in most chasing scenarios, I found if someone was on the edge of my targeter, it wasn't even worth throwing it, as I wouldn't hit. It was better just to use Salmon's Leap and then throw my Barbed Spear, just so I could get the damage off. This ability does, however, stun lane minions, so if you hit an enemy while you're clearing the wave, you won't really take minion damage, and if they try and retaliate, they'll take your archer damage, so it's something you can definitely utilize, especially earlier on in the game whenever minions really chunk you. Chulainn's second ability, Vent Anger, seems to be the ability best at managing his mana bar. Originally, I thought this was going to be a toggleable ability that drains mana the longer you had it on, but it seems that it's just a flat cost, but whenever you hit an enemy with this ability, you don't gain mana. So learning how to properly use this ability seems to be the first step in mastering Chulainn. Although I'm not even close to mastering this ability, I did find that using it to clear the wave was really the last thing you should be doing, unless you're near or over the 85 threshold. Maintaining high mana is really important on this god if you want to rage out in fights, because if you keep using the second ability, you're probably not going to be close to the threshold, and unless you're getting a 5-man ultimate in team fights, you probably won't rage out until it's too late. But if you have zero intentions of raging out soon, you can use his crazy attack cancel with Vent Anger, where you use 2 basic attacks and then use your Vent Anger and then 2 more basic attacks, because his attack chain's really quick, and with his increased range, you can get some crazy damage off without the enemies even being able to get away. So you've refrained from using Vent Anger too much and you're about to rage out, you should always keep in mind that you're essentially getting 4 new abilities. This not only means new effects, but also new cooldowns, which means you should probably be trying to use all your abilities before you turn back into your normal form. Realistically, by the time you're going berserk again, all your abilities will be off cooldown, so you might as well just farm faster if you have to. Although Salmon's Leap has a large targeter and you can hit enemies in a very large area, it's not the longest leap in the world. In fact, there are some key walls that you can't get over, such as the mid-harpy walls, as well as the gold fury wall. But there are certain walls you can get over that are very useful. So you can get over the back harpies wall by your tower on the solo lane side, or on the dual lane side, depending on if you're on chaos or not. And then you can get over the damage wall on the chaos side, and then of course the speed wall on the other side, which can be very useful if you're jungling, or even if you want to just get your rage up really quickly or escape. So these are things you should keep in mind and not get stuck on a wall that you can't really get over. Now that we're done talking about a few things that I learned while playing this god, we can go over some items that I recommend, and the first 2 are definitely Gladiator Shield and Mystical Mail. So the first time I played this god, I didn't pick up Gladiator Shield, and I'm not quite sure why, because the second game, I just picked it up because why not, and it is amazing on this god. So, of course, the physical protections as well as power are okay, they're pretty nice, but it's mostly for the cooldown reduction and passive. just because cooldown reduction usually is paired with mana on a lot of items, which mana, although it is transferred to HP on this god, it's only 10%, so you're not getting as much cost efficiency from an item such as Breastplate of Valor. So an item like Gladiator Shield, which only really has mana in the passive, is really good, as well as you technically have 8 damaging abilities on this god, so even though you're getting a little bit of mana from the passive, which does get transferred to HP a little bit, you're not really losing out on the cost because 8 abilities, that is so much healing for any god, really. So really strong item on this god, as well as you're building a lot of HP, so you're getting more of it anyway, and you heal so much, especially since this god doesn't have any natural sustain. All he gets sustain from is health pots, as well as he gets some HP from, let's say, mana buff. Not that much, he gets a little bit of HP 5, but still, it's a really great item on this god, and I highly recommend picking up first item in almost every single game. And the second item I mentioned is Mystical Mail, and I imagine when most people saw this god, that was the item that went through their head, because not only are they sitting in the backline like any other backline warrior such as an Osiris or a Bellona, he's also going to be able to have another Mystical Mail with his own ability, his second ability, which does 30 damage every 0.5 seconds, so about 60 damage a second, if of course not including protections or scalings. Plus, he's already going to have the Mystical Mail on top of that from the item. That's pretty much 100 damage if you don't include the protections every second, and that's for free if you get this item. So yeah, this item is pretty crazy on this god. It allows you to pretty much always get top damage in fights. It's just the way it is. Top damage in not only in fights, also in the game, because all that damage is ticking constantly in a team fight. That does a lot over time, especially against squishy targets such as a mage or an assassin or a hunter. They're not going to be liking that too much. Definitely not. So I highly recommend this item. I usually pick it up right after Gladiator Shield. Generally, that's what you want to do. Although with this god, I think you can get away with getting it later on in the game just by the way his kit works, allowing him to have another Mystical Mail already. But like I said, I usually like it right after Gladiator Shield so I can get that damage online as quickly as possible when it's most relevant. Here's an example build of what I've been using in my games. There are of course other items that I could include on here, such as maybe a Shifter Shield, although it got nerfed, Stone of Gaia, things like that. Still really great items, but in my opinion, you want to look more towards protections as well as a bit of cooldown reduction that doesn't include mana. So things like Spirit Robe as well as Mantle of Discord and Hide of the Urchin I think are really good, although Hide of the Urchin of course gives mana. It's just that the protections are just so great on this god because you're already getting some HP from the passive whenever you rage out. So whenever you're in team fights, you're looking to mostly be in berserk form. So if you keep that in mind and you already get a flat amount of HP from the berserk form, you will be getting a lot more out of the protections than you would some extra HP. Although extra HP is still very nice as well, not something irrelevant, it's still going to be very good. I think focusing on protections is just a bit more efficient overall in my little bit of playing this god. For relics, there's a lot of options. I personally like going teleport in the solo lane almost every game. I just think that item's busted and you just have to get it when you're playing him solo. But you can look for things like Blink if you don't want to go for Bracer, although Bracer is really strong right now, as well as you can look for Thorns, Horrific Emblem. There's a lot of options honestly right now, but for now I think Bracer's the best, or Blink, because you can actually have some crazy initiations with the Blink ultimate and then going Rage form. There's a lot you can do with that, but I feel like that's more of possibly a jungle thing for this god because it's just so hard to overlook Bracer right now, especially on a god like this where you're going to be in the front line taking tons of damage. You could refresh your HP bar, and since your Rage form lasts for 20 seconds, you still could be in Berserk while that goes on, so definitely looking towards those relics. But there's still a lot I want to learn about this god, such as whether Death Toll or Bluestone or even Ninja Tabi or Warrior Tabi, which one's better and what situations I'll want to build them, as well as I want to try an in-hand build on this god and focus more on his normal form basic attack chain because it's pretty good, especially when you add in that attack cancel. You're getting 4 really quick hits off, so things like Shin Size could be pretty crazy. But this is just a short video sharing the things that I learned about him and the builds I've been running and what I think could be really effective on him. But of course, he still hasn't even come out yet, so they could change anything they want. I mean, honestly, he's a lot of fun to play though, so hopefully they don't change too much if they're gonna do stuff like that. But anyway, guys, this has been the SM again with a little Chulainn video before he even goes live, just kind of sharing my experiences with him. I hope you enjoyed, so please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.